Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Julie Chrisley's request denied, Resentencing day revealed. Once again, Julie Chrisley has had one of her requests shut down by a judge when it comes to her resentencing hearing. Keep reading to find out what's happening with the Chrisley Knows Best star now. Julie Chrisley shut down by federal judge. Julie Chrisley has a resentencing hearing coming up in the upcoming week. This comes after finding out that there was an error in her first sentencing. This week, she put in a simple request for this hearing. All she wants is to be able to wear civilian clothing to her hearing. Unfortunately for the Chrisley Knows Best star, her request has been denied by the federal judge, Fox reports. Of course, her lawyers are shocked by this news. There is no good cause for denying the defendant the opportunity to appear in civilian clothing for this hearing, they state. This isn't the first time she has been shut down, though, for a special request this hearing. Before this, she asked if she could attend via Zoom. However, she was denied that request as well. Denied for attending via Zoom. Earlier this summer, Savannah Chrisley took to her Instagram story to talk about what was going on with her mom. She revealed that Julie had put in a request to attend her hearing via Zoom, which is apparently very common. For those wondering what's going on right now, the judge denied our motion for my mother to attend her hearing via Zoom. When you are in prison, it is very customary to attend via Zoom, Savannah writes on her Instagram story. She continues, clearly very emotional, sharing that she now has to be worried for her mother's safety as she is transported and shackled for this hearing. A clearly very upset Savannah continues writing. What does this mean? My mother will be shackled and transported for the next month. Plane, bus, etc. with men, some of whom are violent. She explains, I don't know when I will hear from her next. This punishment does not fit the alleged crime. Hopefully for Julie, her sentencing goes well this week, and she is not put in any dangerous situations as she travels to the hearing in person. Only time will tell what the outcome of the whole thing is. The cold steel bars that have become Julie Chrisley's daily reality didn't rattle when the news came, but her heart did. It had been a day like any other inside the Federal Medical Center in Lexington. The air was thick with routine, the shuffle of feet during head count, the clatter of trays in the cafeteria, the low hum of whispered prayers during morning devotion. Julie sat alone at a table near the window, the sunlight casting a golden haze over her Bible, open to the book of Psalms. She had found comfort there in recent months, in words of deliverance, in the idea of mercy. But mercy, it seemed, was not on the court's agenda. A quiet knock on the visitation room side door pulled her from her thoughts. A counselor, one she'd grown to trust, stepped in and motioned for her. Julie stood, spine straight, nerves coiled tight. She wasn't expecting a visitor. She wasn't expecting anything, except maybe hope. Savannah had filed paperwork for a resentencing appeal back in the spring. They'd prayed. They'd waited. They believed. Now the verdict had arrived. Julie, the counselor said gently, offering her a manila envelope. This just came in. It's from your legal team. She opened it with fingers that shook only slightly. Months of anticipation, thousands of prayers, and late-night pacing in the dark had all come down to these few pages. Her eyes scanned quickly, looking for any word that might grant her release, even partial. But there it was, denied. Her knees almost gave out, but she caught herself on the edge of the metal table, pressing the papers down with both hands. The official language meant little, a storm of legalese, references to precedent, risk assessment protocols, and statements about justice being served. But the message was loud and cruel in its simplicity. Her request for a reduced sentence had been officially denied. Julie swallowed the lump rising in her throat. She thought of Todd, still serving time in Pensacola, still refusing to let the weight of their downfall sink him. She thought of Savannah, who had taken on the role of sister, mother, daughter, and advocate all at once. And Grayson, dear young Grayson, trying to grow up in a storm he never caused. And yet, a second document sat behind the first. Her fingers brushed over it with a hesitancy born from months of dashed hope. She unfolded it, blinked, her breath catching. How? The appeal had been denied. But as she kept reading, a twist emerged. The court had rejected her motion for early release, but a resentencing hearing had been scheduled regardless, triggered not by her request, but by a procedural technicality uncovered during her legal team's deeper audit of the original trial. A recent shift in federal sentencing guidelines, one that addressed how fraud losses were calculated, meant that some white-collar crime convictions, including Julie's, were eligible for resentencing consideration. It wasn't mercy. It wasn't justice. It was bureaucracy, and it might just be her last chance. Back in her cell that evening, Julie sat on her bunk while her cellmate quietly read a paperback on the bottom. Julie pressed her forehead against the cool concrete wall, whispering a prayer of gratitude. Not for the denial, but for the hearing. October 17. That date was now circled in her soul. She imagined what it would be like to sit in front of a judge again, to wear something besides khaki and white, to speak directly to someone with the power to give her life back. This wasn't a full reversal, but it was a foot in the door. And for a woman who had been locked behind one for nearly 2 years, that was everything. She imagined Savannah in the courtroom gallery, tears sparkling, holding Chloe's hand. She imagined Todd watching via live stream, praying silently from behind his own set of bars. He told her once in a rare phone call, "If we ever get another shot, Julie, you take it. You walk through that door even if it's cracked open just an inch." And she would. As the prison lights dimmed for lockdown, Julie turned on her side, the bunk too narrow and hard to feel like anything but punishment. But she stared into the dark with something new in her chest. Not quite hope, but close. Purpose. Outside the prison walls, the media caught wind of the news the next morning. Headlines spread across entertainment sites and tabloids alike. Julie Chrisley's sentence stands, but new resentencing hearing could change everything. Federal judge sets date for Chrisley resentencing amid legal drama. Savannah reacts, "We are ready for the fight." Julie didn't care much for what the press thought anymore. She had spent too long worrying about image, brand, and optics. Now, all that mattered was time. Time with her family. Time to make amends. Time to rebuild something from the ruins of what once was a perfect life. In the days that followed, she threw herself into preparation. Her legal team sent her reading material. She worked closely with prison counselors on character statements. She even joined a new Bible study group, sharing her journey with women who had long given up on courtrooms and mercy alike. "Why do you care so much?" One woman asked during a late-night talk in the rec room. "You know how rare second chances are in here." Julie looked at her and didn't flinch, because even if it's rare, it's possible, and I owe it to my family to try. On the wall of her cell, Julie taped a note next to her mirror, a quote from Isaiah. "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you." As October drew closer, she rehearsed her statement daily. She wanted the judge to see her not as a television personality or a figure of scandal, but as a mother, a wife, a woman humbled by consequence and strengthened by loss. She didn't want pity.